Buckle up, Buffy fans, because today we are diving into some news that is, well, pretty exciting.
It's definitely buzzing around the internet.
Yeah, it's all about, you guessed it, a potential reboot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
The rumors are flying.
We've been digging through articles from Sci-Fi Now and Deadline, and let me tell you, they've got some juicy details.
Sounds like we've got a lot to uncover then.
We do, and that's exactly what we're here to do, right? We're going to sort through the facts, separate them from the fiction, and try to figure out what this all means for us, the fans.
For the Buffyverse.
Exactly. So, first things first, the big question. Is this reboot a done deal? Are we actually getting new Buffy?
Well, hold your horses just a little bit. It's not a sure thing just yet. What we know is that Hulu's getting close to ordering a pilot episode.
So they're testing the waters.
Exactly. It's a big step, but it's not a guarantee that we'll get a full series.
Makes sense. Got to make sure those stakes are high enough, right?
Right.
So one of the things that really got my attention was the possibility of Sarah Michelle Gellar returning as Buffy. I mean, for years she's said no to a reboot.
Yeah, she has.
So what do you think? What could have changed her mind?
It's tough to say for sure, but maybe the script just blew her away. You know?
Yeah.
Or, we've seen some pretty successful revivals lately, like Dexter.
Right.
And just like that. So maybe she's seen that it's possible to bring back a beloved show without, totally messing it up.
Right. And maybe she realized that a whole new generation needs a Slayer, too.
Yeah.
To face all the metaphorical vampires and demons of the world.
Maybe. I mean, Buffy's story is, in a way, timeless, right? The whole growing up, finding yourself, facing your fears. It's something that we can all relate to, even now, all these years later.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got Buffy potentially on board, but what about the team behind the camera? Who's putting this new Buffyverse together?
Well, get this. Chloé Zhao, the one who directed Nomadland, she's set to direct the pilot episode.
Wait, hold on. The Chloé Zhao? The one who makes those, super artistic films?
Yep, that's her.
That's a kind of unexpected choice for a supernatural action show, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. It is kind of surprising, but it's also what makes it so interesting, right? Plus, you know what? She's a huge Buffy fan. This isn't just a job for her. This is like a passion project.
Yeah, that's exciting. So maybe we'll see a Buffy that's, I don't know, a little more emotionally complex.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see Buffy battling those demons, but also, facing some deep existential questions.
Yeah.
Who knows? And the writers, Nora and Lila Zuckerman.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They did Poker Face. They really know how to build compelling characters, intricate plots.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so we might be in for some seriously clever storytelling.
Fingers crossed. And it's not all new faces behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We've got some old friends from the original series, too. Gail Berman, Fran Kuzui, and Kaz Kuzui. They're all executive producers again.
Mm. It's great to have that connection to the original, gives you a bit more confidence that they're going to respect the legacy while still bringing something new to the table. It's a balance, for sure.
Okay, and then there's this wild card. Dolly Parton is an executive producer on this pilot.
Yeah, I know, right?
Dolly Parton.
What Dolly Parton brings to the Buffyverse, your guess is as good as mine.
Oh, man. It's so out there, but that's what makes it so exciting,
Totally.
Maybe she'll write a new theme song. Or maybe she'll play some mysterious vampire queen who, bursts into song while turning people into the undead. I mean, the possibilities are kind of endless.
Okay, let's maybe bring it back down to earth a little bit.
Right. Back to reality.
Yeah. It's fun to imagine, but we should stick to what we know.
Okay, good point. So what do we know about the story itself? Is this a straight-up remake, or are we going in a different direction?
Well, the sources are saying that it's going to be a continuation of the Buffyverse, not a remake.
Interesting. So not Buffy back in high school, battling vamps in the library.
Not necessarily, no. It could be a new story that takes place in the same world, maybe even years after the original series.
Okay, wow. So for you, as a Buffy expert, what could this continuation look like?
Well, think about it. New Slayers, new big bads, maybe even some familiar faces returning to Sunnydale.
Ooh, like who?
Well, we could see what happened after Buffy activated all those potential Slayers, remember at the end of the original series?
Oh, yeah. So an army of Slayers all around the world fighting evil.
Exactly. That opens up a whole world of possibilities. And with this creative team, who knows what we'll get?
Oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
It's exciting.
It is. Okay, but there's one big name that's not coming back. Joss Whedon, the creator of the whole Buffyverse, he's not involved at all.
Yeah, no Whedon on this one.
Right, and we can't ignore the reason why, right? Those allegations of misconduct on his other projects, it's serious stuff.
Absolutely. It's definitely something that casts a shadow over this reboot.
Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet, you know? On the one hand, it feels like, well, something's missing without the original creator.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other, it creates this opportunity for a whole new vision, right? A fresh perspective on Buffy.
I think that's a really important point. It means this reboot can be its own thing, building on what came before, but also, going in a new direction, maybe with more focus on inclusivity, different voices, who knows?
Yeah, that makes sense. And speaking of new perspectives, we can't forget that there was already an attempt to reboot Buffy a few years back.
You mean the one in 2018?
Yep, that's the one with a black female lead.
Yeah.
Sadly, it never got off the ground.
I know, I was kind of bummed about that. But it kind of shows just how tricky it is to get a reboot right, It has to honor the original, but also bring something new to the table. You can't just rehash the same old stuff.
Totally. And that's the big question, right? How do you please those diehard fans, the ones who want everything to be exactly the same, while also appealing to a whole new audience who might not even know who Buffy is?
It's a tough balance. I mean, first off, you bring in a team like the one we've been talking about, right? Talented, passionate, and with a deep understanding of what made Buffy great in the first place.
Right, so they know the rules but aren't afraid to break them.
Exactly. And you got to listen to the fans, Engage with them, consider their hopes and fears. It's all about finding that sweet spot between honoring the past and, well, forging a new future.
Speaking of the past, there's been some talk about cameos from the original cast.
Ooh, yeah, that's always a crowd pleaser.
So, spill the tea. Who would you love to see make a comeback?
Oh, man, so many possibilities. For me, personally, I'd flip out if we got some Willow. Imagine her now, all-powerful witch, maybe mentoring a new Slayer, or maybe she's like leading some magical organization, taking on global threats.
Oh, or maybe she went rogue.
Yeah.
Full-on Dark Willow. That'd be a twist.
Right. That'd be cool. And of course, we got to have Giles, right? Even if it's just for a quick pep talk and a cup up.
Oh, I can see it now. Giles in his book line department, dropping cryptic wisdom like it's nothing. What about Spike? You gotta bring back Spike.
Well, Spike, come on, that bad boy with the soul. He can't stay gone forever. I mean, he did sacrifice himself, but in the Buffyverse, death is kind of like a revolving door.
Yeah, never say never. Plus, his whole redemption arc was just so powerful, so well done. I'd love to see where he is now,
Yeah, like, has he found peace? Is he still battling those inner demons? So much potential there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, the cameo idea, I'm totally on board with that. But going back to Buffy herself, I mean, Gellar has always said she'd only do a reboot if there was a really good reason. What do you think that reason could be?
That's a good question. For me, it all comes down to, relevance. Does this reboot speak to us now? To our world, to our fears, our anxieties? Just like the original Buffy did back in the day.
So it's not just about bringing back the monsters and the Slayer. It's about those deeper themes, right? Identity, power, fighting for what's right. The things that made Buffy so much more than just a vampire show.
That's it. It needs to have something to say, something that resonates with us now. Otherwise, it's just nostalgia, and that only goes so far.
Right, right. And for you personally, as someone who's lived and breathed Buffy for years, what would make you excited about this reboot? What would make you say, this is the Buffy I've been waiting for?
That's a good one. I think for me, it would have to really explore the consequences of Buffy's life, the emotional toll of being the Slayer. We saw some of that in the original, the trauma, the grief, the loneliness. But I think there's so much more to unpack there, especially now that we understand more about things like PTSD, the impact of constantly facing danger and death.
So you want to see Buffy not just as a superhero, but as a real person with real struggles.
Exactly. Someone who's fighting demons, yeah, but also fighting her own inner demons. I think that would make her even more relatable, more human.
I like that. And honestly, it makes her even more of a role model, right? She's strong, she's brave, but she's also allowed to be vulnerable. It makes her feel real,
Totally. And that's what made Buffy so powerful in the first place. She was this badass warrior, but she was also just a girl trying to figure things out, just like all of us.
It's a powerful message, and I think it's one that still resonates today. Even if those demons aren't always the kind with fangs and claws.
Right. Sometimes they're just life. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Not every Buffy fan is going to be thrilled about this reboot.
Oh, definitely not. There are going to be some people who feel like, you can't touch the original.
All right. The purists.
Exactly. And without Whedon, there's always going to be that question, you know?
Yeah. Can they really capture the magic of Buffy without the guy who created it? Tough one.
It is, but I think they might be able to pull it off. I mean, first of all, they're not trying to remake the original, right? They're building on it.
Yeah, like adding a new chapter to the story.
Exactly. And they've got a killer team, people who really know their stuff. They get the genre, they love Buffy, but they're not afraid to, you know, put their own spin on things.
And they seem to get what made Buffy so special. You know, the fighting for what you believe in, the power of being different, all that good stuff.
Right. And those themes are always relevant. It's not just about vampires and demons. It's about facing your fears, about finding your strength, about being yourself.
Yeah, those are powerful messages for sure. But okay, let's get a little cynical for a minute. What could go wrong? What could make this reboot a total flop?
Well, one thing that could sink it is, you know, relying too much on nostalgia.
Oh yeah, like just throwing in cameos and Easter eggs, hoping that'll be enough.
Right. The fans might be excited at first, but if the story isn't there, they'll lose interest pretty quick.
So it needs to be more than just fan service. It needs to have heart.
Exactly. And another thing, trying to please everyone.
You're never going to make everyone happy, right?
Yep. Someone's always going to be unhappy.
Hmm.
So the creators need to be brave. Take some risks, tell the story they want to tell.
Yeah, they can't play it safe, right?
Yeah.
They got to go for it. So we've talked a lot about what we hope to see in this reboot, but at the end of the day, it's all just speculation. We'll have to wait and see what actually happens.
Yeah, it's all just guesswork right now. But
Yeah.
that's part of the fun, you know?
Yeah, it's exciting to think about the possibilities.
And for the fans, it's a chance to kind of, you know, go back to that world, to revisit those characters.
Absolutely. So before we stake this conversation, I have one final question for you, the listener. If you were in the writer's room for this reboot, what story would you tell? What direction would you take Buffy in? What mysteries would you solve?
What would make you say, this is the Buffy I've been waiting for? Think about it. And maybe even share your thoughts with us on social media.
We always love to hear from you guys. And until then, stay slaying.